And of course, Nextcloud is all of you.
To introduce Nextcloud Hub as a concept.
True open source and local AI.
And makes things more usable.
Without ever being decrypted on the server.
We are an ethical organization with some values that we want to follow.
The world is changing, and these changes must reflect in organizations.
Collaborate with other people over the internet.
File system that can easily be customized.
Nextcloud really is designed to help you stay in control over your data.
Good morning, everyone, from the Nextcloud Berlin office. Thank you for joining us today. It's been 15 years ago that I started to develop this software. Of course, at the beginning, it was only a hobby. But the reason for that is that I had this gut feeling that it's not a good idea that a handful of big tech companies control all our data, all our communication, our collaboration. So for me, this always felt as a dystopia, something I just didn't want to have. The main reason for that is, of course, my open source background, which open source is, of course, all about being in control, to know what's going on and to be able to change. And this cloud services, of course, they're always a black box. For me, they always felt very bad, and I wanted to do something about that. So I had this dream. Can we build something that is purely open source, that can really contributed by everybody? You can view what's going on. You can really have the complete flexibility. It's easily self-hostable. You can put it on a small Raspberry Pi, or you can always put it on a big cluster if you have hundreds, thousands of millions of users. Then, of course, great security and performance. If a lot of people want to have something where you can really trust, where you can have confidential data in it, and it runs very fast. Then the user experience and design, I think, is also very important. There's a lot of software out there which is clunky and hard to use, and I always wanted to have something which is just nice to use and everybody likes. At the end of the day, the idea was to give people control over their data, over their communication, about their collaboration, their digital life. So, and of course, 8 years ago, Nextcloud was founded by me and 11 other people to bring this to the next level. So also we know that no longer this is just a gut feeling that we're trying to solve here. We actually have real political problems. So if you look into the news, you see all the challenges, all the problems we face as a society, as a world nowadays, and IT is in the middle of it. Got IT, cloud computing, collaboration software, social networking, messaging. This is really super important, and the just abstract fears that I had before are really, really real today if you just watch TV to see what's going on. Of course, I'm not the only one who has these doubts, who has these challenges, these problems. I'm really happy that we have this incredible community who joined me over the years to really build a solution which trying to solve that. So nowadays, we are the most deployed collaboration software in the world. We have tens of millions of users all over the world. There are thousands of contributors to help the Nextcloud make better. And we have viewers of this video. 10,000 are watching this video just together with us here just at this moment. So now as we look back at years of hard work, collaboration and innovation, we've achieved so much more than I ever imagined. But thanks a lot to the community, to everybody who contributed. I think we all share the success together, and this is a great achievement. But we're not only a solution, we're not only just a software project. I think we're a movement around security and privacy to protect our digital lives together. But most proud of, I'm about our values, because we are not just doing this in isolation, just for fun. It's also fun, but it also there are values behind it. And these values did not change over the years. And to tell you more about our values, I want to show you this video of our team members now.
We believe privacy is a fundamental human right, and everybody should have access to secure communication free from surveillance.
We are building decentralized products as an alternative to centralized platforms. People can choose what they want and where they want it.
We believe in open source and open standards. Open source is the only way for users to trust their devices.
We value sustainability, protecting people, society, and the environment.
We believe accessibility is a fundamental human right and technology should be accessible to everyone.
The time of our users is very important to us. That's why we do our best to make Nextcloud easy to use.
We foster diversity, from innovation to transparency and collaboration. Working with our community and supporting marginalized people leads to a better result.
Now let's dive a little bit deeper into the actual problems that we're trying to solve here. So collaboration software is getting better and better. And of course, now after the pandemic, everybody's using it. We're doing more remote work. We know how to collaborate over the internet. And this is all a good thing. But of course, at what cost? Because now we know, okay, there's this handful of companies that have full control of our private life, our business life, and everything around it. So how do we benefit without sacrificing privacy, independence, and sovereignty? Just imagine if you're like a school or a bank or a federal administration. What does it mean? What do you need? Do you really want to be in control? Do you want some companies that are huge who only care about their own benefits, really be in control of your digital destiny? So how do we build IT infrastructure on modern technologies while staying in control, away from prying eyes of third-party companies? So this is, of course, where Nextcloud makes the difference, because we are fully open source and we provide digital sovereignty. So you are always in control. You can always see what's inside. You can audit the software. You can look inside. You can see if there's any backdoors or anything. This is no longer just a black box. This is fully transparent that works for your benefits. So you can also host it wherever you want. You can run it on like a tiny instance, or you can run it on a big cluster and everything in between. As I said before, this is built by and for the community. So thousands of contributors shape our future together. We are also the most scalable solution out there. As I said, it works from a very small instance like a Raspberry Pi to a huge Kubernetes cluster, which are important like for businesses or governments. It's also very easy to deploy. So we provide the Nextcloud all-in-one Docker container, which makes setup very, very easy. Security and privacy is very important. With this release, we will improve end-to-end encryption, for example, significantly, but more about this a little bit later. The ease of use for me is always very important. There's a lot of software out there which is actually not fun and not easy to use. For us, in Nextcloud is always the focus to have something that is just very intuitive and easy to use for just everybody. And then last but not least, flexibility is very important, because everybody's using the software a little bit differently. So Nextcloud is very modular. We can always enable and disable different components, and you can adapt it to your needs. But now let's talk about another thing. This is the power of integration. As you know, Google and Microsoft are dominating the market at the moment with solutions which are very seamlessly integrated. Standalone tools like Zoom, Dropbox, Slack, and others, they're losing relevance and they're no longer that popular. The reason for that is that users expect an integrated solution where everything fits nicely together. Where you have a file sync and share part, you have this Office part, you have chat, video conferencing, we have mail, calendar, contacts, and other components, and everything should be nicely integrated. We at Nextcloud, we saw this coming. Like 5 years ago already, we launched the first version of Nextcloud Hub. So this is the idea to bring like Nextcloud Files, Nextcloud Talk, Calendar, Mail, Office, and all the other components together is a nicely integrated solution. I still remember that some people doubted us at the time. They were not really sure, you're doing too much, this is not really the focus. But I think today, especially after the pandemic, it is really clear that this is what you need. And I'm really happy that we started this movement like 5 years ago already. Integrated, of course, does not mean that everything is like monolithic and everything always needs to be there. Nextcloud is completely modular, and you can enable and disable whatever you want. So you can everything out of the box, and you can also disable some components. You can replace components by other alternatives. This really gives you this flexibility. This is why Nextcloud is not just another collaboration tool. It's actually a platform. So a fully integrated but still modular ecosystem built for modern organizations. This is also why our partner network comes in, because we have these different partners. We will talk later a little bit about partners like XWiki, OpenProject, Collabora, and they can also expand and extend like Nextcloud Hub in different use cases, different areas, and this is like makes it very powerful. So today, I'm really happy to say that we are launching Nextcloud Hub 10. This is, of course, the next major step forward. And we will focus on 5 key areas. The first area is even deeper integration. As I just showed you, this is like a really key area for us where we can innovate and where Nextcloud Hub really shines. The second area are security improvements. So security is of course very key. A lot of people use Nextcloud to handle very sensitive data in communication. And we have significant improvements here, especially around end-to-end encryption and other areas. Then we enhance stability and performance. Of course, our users expect some rock-solid software which scales very well and also have some significant investment and improvements there. Again, more about this later. Then we're expanding the functionality of the core product itself. And we're expanding Nextcloud Talk or Calendar and Mail in significant areas because you always want to have better software that's even easier to use and is more powerful. And then the fifth and last area is AI. So AI is something that has the potential to make your work easier, to automate boring things and just make everything faster to use. But not everybody likes AI. This is why it's all disabled by default. But if you enabled it, you will benefit from very cool improvements. And we actually have some groundbreaking things later that are very first for the industry. So, but rather than telling you about these improvements, let's see them in action. To show you the power of Nextcloud Hub 10, let's follow 2 people working together using our deeply integrated collaboration tools to get things done. Now let me invite our team to take you through what's new.
Nextcloud Files is still the backbone of Nextcloud Hub. It provides easy and secure document management, sharing and collaboration with other people. Now, Nextcloud Files is easy to use and has very deep integration in the other components of Nextcloud Hub. For this release, one of the things we worked on a lot is to facilitate teamwork. And in the spirit of teamwork, I think I should not be alone on this stage. So I'd like to welcome my colleague Nina to join me.
Thank you, Jos. Hello, everybody.
So, teamwork, people working together. Now, in the past for Nextcloud, administrators could create groups and then users could share objects, files, documents, chats, tasks, etc. to these groups. Now we have been expanding this and we have added the concept of teams. And teams are groups that people can manage themselves. So either a manager or even employees themselves can create these groups and then they can go in and share chats and calendars and files and tasks and other resources to these teams.
One of those resources is group folders. These are folders not owned by an individual, but by a team. An administrator can assign them to a group. With this release, you can assign them also to a team, so we renamed group folders to team folders. So Jos, take it away. What's new in team folders?
Right, so a team has a space collectively owned and no longer separate shares. Above this space, you can put folder information, and in the bottom, you can see the other resources that are shared with the same team.
Let me show you what else is new. If you're familiar with Nextcloud Hub 9 and earlier, you see that we've reworked the sharing tab to more clearly separate internal and external shares. For team folders in Hub 10, team members can edit shares, see who created them, and shares even persist when an individual team member leaves the team. This ensures uninterrupted collaboration.
Right, so if Nina would accidentally share the wrong file in a team folder, because it's a shared space, I can go in and remove the share or adjust the share, maybe adding or changing a password. And I do not have to wait for her to come back and fix it. So that's, I think, really nice. Now, speaking of removing shares, we also now block the ability of a user to remove their own access to one of these shares.
I think we should explain that users can manage access in team folders too.
Right, yeah. So team folders support ACLs, access control lists. So this allows, for example, the manager of a team space to set it read-only for everybody by default, and then in a very fine-grained way say like, oh, this person needs write access, this person should be allowed to share, also create, rename, etc. Oh, yeah, another thing that we added is the ability for teams to be tracked in the activity app. So you can go in the activity app and you can see basically what your team is doing, what they are working on.
We've also added OpenAPI support for team folders, enabling powerful automation through Nextcloud Flow. For example, I can automatically request Jos's approval when sharing a file, but we'll talk Nextcloud Flow in greater detail later.
So of course that's about in a team, but often you're also sharing files, individually one-on-one, not as part of a team. And so Nina, you can see here that Anna shared a picture with me. It's not a dog, but it's still fairly cute.
Yeah, it is quite cute, and you can share it with everybody else. But how do you control the spread of such meme-worthy material?
Right, yeah, good point. So basically you wouldn't know who shared it with you unless Nextcloud tells you. And of course that's what we improved in Hub 10. It is now really very visible that Anna is the meme captain in our company.
Oh yeah, she is indeed. Now let's talk about sharing beyond the single server.
Right, yeah, because you can share with colleagues and family on your own server. But what if there's a partner company that your company works with and they're also running their own Nextcloud? That's where federation comes in.
There are about 500,000 Nextcloud servers on the web, like 500,000. And within each of them, sharing is so easy. Just enter the name of another user on the server.
So imagine you're a federal MP at the Department of Interior and there's another MP at the Department of Education that you want to collaborate with. Now, if both departments are running their own Nextcloud server, do you now need an account on both?
No, you don't. That's exactly the point. You can share to user on a different server using federated cloud ID. You can find it in your sharing settings. It's like an email address, username, the @sign, and the address of your Nextcloud server. If you enter my federated cloud ID in your share dialog, I'll get notified of the new share and can accept it.
So now I have to accept all these federated shares always?
Yeah, just like enable the normal shares. In this release, however, we also made it possible that you can auto-accept federated shares. I think this makes sense between trusted servers.
Yeah, absolutely. So this will make it easier for me to share cat or dog memes between my private server and work. Check. So that was sharing and collaboration with your colleagues. What else did we do for this
Well, a
release?
ton of other stuff. Let's jump right in.
Let's start with onboarding. That's the beginning after all. So there was a community member who wanted to make it possible for onboarding emails to be sent from the command line interface. This would allow them, of course, to automate this. And for a big instance, if you can automate sending these emails, control this from the command line, that can be quite helpful.
Our community contributes hundreds of such small improvements everywhere and all the time. Nextcloud wouldn't be the same without it. Here on the screen, you can see yet another example.
Yeah, so there are tons of really cool community apps for Nextcloud, and sometimes these apps are really becoming important for Nextcloud to the point that they become part of Nextcloud Hub itself. So a big example from quite many years ago is external storage, which started its life as a community app and of course became a part of Nextcloud itself. But more recently we had the Collectives app, which is a knowledge management app that was developed by a couple of volunteers, also with some help from the German government. And we hired them and made the app part of Nextcloud Hub because it was just a functionality a lot of our users and customers needed. Kind of a smaller example, but I think also impactful, is a right-click menu in Files. This was for a long time also an app and has become part of Nextcloud Hub itself. And now we integrated the Share Renamer app, and here on the screenshot you see the maintainer sharing the news of this.
I see thousands of servers were using this app already. Can you explain what it does?
Yes, so what the app does is, like when you create a public share link, you get this link with a bunch of random characters at the end. And with this change, you will be able to change this random set of characters to something more, sensible.
Well, sensible. Yes, is this really sensible? But I'll leave that up to you. But anyway, it's a cool new feature for home users. You can share holiday photos with a logically sounding link or to you logically sounding. However, these links are much easier to guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a bit of the downside here. There's in the end a trade-off. I mean, if you call, the link that you sent to your family with holiday photos, like Mallorca_2019, and, they know that you went to Mallorca in 2020, then they can probably guess what the link will be for next year. And of course, if there were friends that maybe you unfriended or don't want to share the pictures with, now you have quite a guessable link. Now, I still think for most home users, this is quite helpful, but it is still off by default. Because especially in the business, of course, this could get risky with important data ending up on guessable URLs. And you don't want that to be floating around. So now, speaking of business settings, if you really live in Nextcloud Hub, you might appreciate our new shortcuts in Nextcloud Files.
Yeah, I think they're super handy, and I'm so glad to see them coming to Files too. And for the more organized people among us, which I like to count myself among them, we have also improved the tag-in feature. You can now tag multiple files at once. Just select them and click Apply Changes.
Yeah, that's really cool. Another thing that was added is the ability to have colorful tags. And I think there's also a setting for administrators to control this feature.
Yes, admins can now block users from creating tags to make sure that everyone is just using a predefined set of tags.
Keeping things organized. Nice. So these are many of the bigger things that we wanted to talk about, but there's one more very visible thing. So Nextcloud is of course used all over the world by, well, tens of millions of users. And, well, they speak, of course, well, many languages. And Nextcloud does support more than 100 languages. And we also need, for some of these languages, a different interface, because some languages are right to left instead of the usual, but more common left to right. And, well, we worked on this for this release. And so with Nextcloud Hub 10, we have proper support for right to left languages that need it.
Yeah, this looks very impressive because it's not just the language that needed to be updated, but the whole interface is mirrored.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite a different way to look at your usual Nextcloud.
I think that covers some of the basics in Hub 10. Of course, we did a lot more with this release.
Right, there's always more. A really cool thing, I think, is the addition of rich text support in the profile. So you have like a profile page where you can put like a description of yourself or something funny. And it now supports rich text, so you can use headers and bold and these things. I think that's nice. Another cool improvement is that you now can get a reminder the day before a public link expires. I think that's also really helpful.
Yeah, very helpful, very handy to have. But there's also one more big thing that we almost forgot to mention.
Right, and that will be document conversion. So you have this situation sometimes where you need to send a document as a PDF, like, I don't know, your resume maybe. And so then you would need to download it from Nextcloud. You need to locally convert it to a PDF and then upload it again. Or maybe you want to turn, an extra text document from Markdown to a Word document. And so again, you download it, you use some local application to do this, and then you have to upload it again. And that's, of course, a little bit of a pain.
Yeah, quite tedious to have. Now, with the Hub 10 release, this is all a thing of the past because we now introduced built-in document conversion. Super cool. It is accessible in 3-dot menu in Files, and it can handle lots of different file types. The best part is that it uses a plugin structure, so our community can add support for other conversions in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice addition as well. And I look forward to all the different file conversions that get added over time. Now, that covers the web interface, but of course, we also have our clients, which we should be talking about.
Yeah. You can access Nextcloud from your iPhone or your Android device, of course. Everybody knows that, but you can share and edit documents, for example, but you can also upload your photos, you can do searches or get notifications, and a lot more.
Yeah, so we have clients for Files, but we also have clients for Talk, and they bring your chat and your calls with you when you're traveling, while the desktop client makes it easier to manage your calls and your chats from a bigger screen.
And last but not least, we maintain the Notes app, where you keep, and when that's not really a surprise, your notes. Let's talk a bit about the work that we did that benefits all the clients. The first is to improve the offline functionality of the clients.
Yeah, so we don't always have a good network connection. I mean, German trains come to mind, so what was improved?
Yeah, you can now do most operations like creating, updating, or renaming files and folders even when you're offline. The changes will be applied as soon as you get a connection again.
Yeah, I think that's really super nice. It makes it a lot easier to work when your network is intermittent. It's a bit similar to the desktop client, where you can, of course, also work while you're, in the plane, having a flight, for example.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Now, another thing that we worked on in the client was to integrate the unified search in a nicer way in the desktop. So the unified search lets you search through, basically all parts of Nextcloud. So you can see, chat and mail and files and, tons of other content. And we now made this integrated a little bit nicer. So if you search, for example, from the Android app and you find a calendar item and you click it, then it will open in the local calendar app. For iOS and the desktop, contacts and events, they will open in a browser.
We also improved the integration of the Nextcloud Assistant, our AI co-pilot. You now see all your requests in a neat little list, and you can copy or share them to other apps. You can also edit or redo requests.
Yeah, so now we have a fun subject for administrations in large organizations.
Yes, mobile device management.
Well, clearly you know about it, so go ahead and tell everyone.
Thank you, yes. Yeah, it does exactly that, managing mobile devices. That is remotely. So this is a super neat feature for administrators in a large company because you're now able to enforce certain settings on the devices of all your employees. For example, you can make sure that the access to the Nextcloud app is always requires you to Face ID or fingerprint.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're handling really sensitive information. Then you have this control as an administrator over it.
Yeah, I agree. It is a really comprehensive feature. You can disable lots of stuff too, like the welcome screen, support multiple accounts, do error reporting, logging, and even sharing and copy pasting. This is all to lock down the data as much as possible and keep it safe and secure.
Right, so no bit left unsupervised. So this is the Fort Knox for Files. Does it also support Talk?
Yes, it's both for Files and Talks on both major mobile platforms.
Cool. So now let's talk about some clients then. We made changes then on these specific platforms. And well, let's start with Android.
Yeah, so in Android we did a redesign. It looks more like the iOS app now, with a bar on the bottom that contains files, favorites, the Nextcloud Assistant, and photos. We also made sure that our apps have a similar sidebar and link to each other, like Notes, Talk, and Files. And we brought recommended files to the mobile interface. You can now find it below the folder information. Last but not least, we introduced a nice album support with a bunch of features to make navigating in your videos and photos more easy.
Lovely. So let's cover iOS. So there was a ton of improvements also in iOS, user interface, performance, reliability. But a bigger feature I would want to talk about is support for shortcuts. So Apple introduced shortcuts with iOS 12, and it allows you to create pretty complex automations on your iPhone. And so this is now supported by Talk. So you can create automations that send, for example, Talk messages to people. So I think that's really cool.
Moving over to desktop now. Let's see what's new there.
Yeah, so again, a lot of work in all areas. But one of the bigger things that the team worked on is to achieve a more native look on all the platforms. So here you can see Windows. And yeah, this looks more like a typical Windows application.
A lot of other changes were done in the clients, too many to get an individual slide for all of them, so we compiled them here in this list.
So, next subject, security. So our customers and users, well, they all care about privacy or perhaps compliance with privacy regulations, but privacy doesn't really exist when security is not very good. I mean, if a hacker can have access to your data, then yeah, your privacy is out of the window. So we always work on security at Nextcloud for every release. This is a really important thing for us to work on. And for this release, we have made a couple of key improvements that we should talk about. Now, so Nextcloud Hub currently protects your data using multiple encryption technologies. And this basically, each of these is targeting different potential threats. So one is the use of TLS. That's basically HTTPS in your browser. And so what it does is it protects the data when it goes from your browser to the server, or when it goes from the desktop client to the server or the mobile clients, etc. So it's transport, protection essentially. And then the second encryption technology we use is server-side encryption. So what this does is it stores the data in an encrypted way at rest when the server is off or gets stolen, or when a hard drive that has your data gets stolen. All the data on there would be encrypted, and that is, of course, well, a lot harder to access for a hacker. And then the third and last major kind of encryption that we use is end-to-end encryption. So end-to-end encryption is designed to protect the data from an untrusted server administrator.
Yeah, end-to-end encryption means encrypting your files on your client, be it desktop or mobile apps. It uses a local password and mnemonic, which is never shared to the server, so as to keep your files super safe. The server admin has no way to ever see the content of the files because the mnemonic stays local.
Yeah, and that's really good. But again, it means that the web interface does not have access to the files, and so you cannot, view or download the files from the web interface. Because in the end, the browser would need access to your mnemonic. The browser is running code from the server, and that in a way, whenever you would be doing that, you would kind of break the security that end-to-end encryption offers.
Yeah, that might be, yes, but shouldn't that be up to the user?
Right? I mean, sometimes, of course, you just need a web interface and the trade-off can be worth it in some cases. In the end, you are still adding an extra layer of protection, even if you sometimes use the web interface. So, for this release, we introduced this as a new feature. You as a user get a clear choice in your personal settings, and if you enable this setting, you will be able to browse, view, and download the files that are end-to-end encrypted in your browser interface. Let's have a look.
Here you go. Note that it requires you to enter your mnemonic in the browser. We take great care to keep the data safe, but browsers always bring a security risk, so it is your choice. If you do not trust your administrator or there are compliance rules in your company that disallow these, do not use it.
Yeah, but still, I do think that for some use cases it can be a very helpful improvement, and it's always good to make end-to-end encryption easier to use to reach a wider base of users. So now that's for files, but there's actually another piece of end-to-end encryption news that we wanted to share.
Yeah, this is a little bit easier to explain. It's end-to-end encryption in video calls in Talk. Say you have a group of users, the data streams, they are often tunneled through the Talk backend server. With Nextcloud Hub 10, however, the video stream is encrypted on the client and then decrypted again at the recipient, so the server can no longer peek into the contents of the audio or video.
That's the end-to-end encryption news. Now, of course, a lot of other security work is always done. And one more feature that we wanted to highlight was brute force protection. So brute force protection protects against repeated attempts to guess passwords of users. That's the brute force element there. This is a feature that has been in Nextcloud for a long time, but we made it basically easier to control for the administrator. So now if you have certain policies in your organization or if you have certain compliance requirements, you will now be able to set specific rules for this brute force protection and basically set rules for this policy.
There are many other security improvements in Nextcloud Hub 10. For example, you can now set a separate password policy for public link shares and user login credentials. Or if you build your own Nextcloud clients, you can configure them as trusted by default, so users don't have to approve anything, and much more.
They cover security, and I think it's time to talk about performance. So faster is always better, of course, not just for users, but also given the increasing resource usage of data centers, it also has an impact on our environment.
Yes, and our team has worked all over the code base to improve performance, but we want to talk about a few bigger and more impactful changes.
So a lot of work has gone into chunked upload.
So what are you doing with those chunks?
Say you have a big file, like a video file that is maybe several gigabytes big, and you have to upload this. Now, if during the transfer the network will have an issue, you would have to retry uploading that file. And yeah, there are simply network issues sometimes. That's the reality of the internet. So it will be a waste to have to retry this again and again. So what we do is we cut this in pieces, and then we upload each of these pieces separately. And then on the other side of the server, of course, these files get put together again. Even if, for example, you uploaded half the file yesterday and the other half this morning, you still get access. And what was done for this release is that the team worked really hard on improving the performance of this. So especially if you have a fast network connection, then you can get up to 6 times faster uploading of really big files to Nextcloud.
Yeah, that's a significant difference and a super cool feature to have.
Yeah, that should be quite noticeable.
We also improved the reliability of the upload. Nextcloud now retries more persistently.
Again, there were of course more performance improvements all over, but there's one more that I think we should show, even if it is a little bit vague.
Yeah, it's blur hashes, another technical term. It's fetching thumbnails, and that takes time. This is why we added a new short piece of metadata to each file, a blur hash. It is basically a very low-res image. It allows the client to immediately give you an impression of the file when actually the server is still fetching it.
I think that's really cool, because especially on a bad network connection, you already get a bit of an impression. You can already scroll, and maybe you already know which file you want to grab, so that just saves time and it makes it feel faster.
Absolutely, yeah. And now the last thing in the performance section we want to talk about is scalability.
Right, I mean, because in the end, not everybody is using Nextcloud at home. Like me, there are servers with tens of millions of users, sometimes even distributed across data centers.
Nextcloud already scales from very small devices like a Raspberry Pi to super big ones like Kubernetes setups that can handle millions of users. An example for this is the Magenta Cloud by Deutsche Telekom. Then you have Cloud Drive service of America Mobil. This service has tens of millions of users and is distributed in several hosting centers in Central and South America using Nextcloud Global Scale.
Yeah, so that is a key use case for global scale. If you need a very large instance, you have tens of millions of customers, and you need to provide them a good Nextcloud experience where all these customers can also work together, share and exchange data. So essentially, it needs to feel like a single instance. This is what global scale does. It has nearly unlimited scalability. Tens, hundreds of millions of users would not be a problem. You can simply distribute it across data centers and across different clusters in a data center as well. So that's one benefit, but it has other benefits as well. So imagine you're at a company and you have offices in, let's say, in Taipei and in New York, and the employees in Taipei have local regulations that require them to keep certain data local, so in servers in Taipei. Then it is possible to run there a Nextcloud instance and run another Nextcloud instance in New York. And using global scale, this will then act as a single Nextcloud instance. Everybody can work together, they can share with each other. They will not even notice that they're actually on different servers, except, of course, the data stays local as is required by the compliance. And moreover, a third benefit they will get is that, of course, for the people in Taipei, when they're accessing data, it doesn't have to come all the way from New York or the other way around, so they get a better performance as well. So between scalability, performance, and keeping data local, global scale is really a great solution for a lot of more complicated use cases where you can use Nextcloud. Now, with Hub 10, we introduced a couple of new authentication mechanisms that are used by some of our larger customers for their global scale. So it gives a better experience again to the users there.
And of course, it isn't only our employees that do performance work. For example, there was a really nice contribution of S3 object storage, which helps accelerate uploading files into the team folders.
Yeah. So, tons more stuff happening. I think we should show a slide with all of that. So there's too much here to all mention, but I do want to point out that on the bottom right there's a mention of LDAP. There was also a community member who added some features that basically reduce the load on external LDAP servers. So this will also help, of course, if you're running a big instance. You have an LDAP server that you're causing a lot of load on. This will decrease that load. So, and this is still, of course, only a subset of all the things that we do for a release, typically.
Yeah, let's look at the numbers and what we did for the releases.
Yeah, let's do that. So, all the things we've talked about now, like the performance, the features, the improvements for teams, etc. It sounds like a lot, but it only really represents something like 10-20% maybe of the code changes. So,
well, what's the other 90% about? Yes.
Right. So all the other work that our team is doing is, well, there's a lot of polishing of features, but a lot of it is basically fixing bugs, fixing issues, optimizing little things, maybe accessibility, certain small usability changes, improving the labels, like basically the maintenance of a big complex product that can do a lot like Nextcloud. So let's give a couple of real numbers. So we had a look in GitHub, that's where we host Nextcloud code. And so we looked only at a subset here, so at the main products, Files, Groupware, Talk, and Office. And so for Nextcloud Files, there were 35 feature-related major code changes for this release, out of a number of 1,400.
That only covers very little again. Yes, where's the big chunk?
Yeah, so the other 1,400, that's essentially the maintenance. So, as I said, it's polishing, it's little improvements that make using Nextcloud, well, a good experience. And that's even only the core of Nextcloud Files.
For Talk, 19 features were merged out of almost 700 pull requests. So the rest is maintenance of this and previous releases, fixing bugs, updating libraries, and much more.
Yeah, and then we have Nextcloud Office, where across the different repositories that make up Office, there were about 800 changes that were included. And out of those, only 25 were featured changes.
Last but not least, Groupware merged over 1,700 pull requests with 23 features.
Yeah, so the numbers get big, right? And again, this is just across the 4 core products, so it's excluding a lot of other repositories, like team folders, for example. And here we had 4,600 code changes that were put in. And of this, only about 100 of them were really feature related. So that's actually under 5% of those numbers.
Yeah, and Andy told me that he estimates that the engineering team spends well over 80% of the time on maintenance, including fixing issues, improving performance and security, but not the features. And I think these numbers back this up. And of course, a lot more happens. We go over the issues that people report. For files alone, over 600 were closed since the release of Nextcloud Hub 9.
Ton of work is done on maintenance, and we hope that these numbers give you a bit of an insight where we are putting our effort. In the end, the vast majority of our engineering time is spent on making the core features better to give a better experience to the people using Nextcloud, all of you.
Time to wrap this up. In short, a lot has happened with files and with this release.
Yeah, I mean, it's improved collaboration with the improvements to the team folders, for example. We worked on interface improvements like the sharing dialog on the sidebar, the work on document conversion.
And the security work, mobile device management, end-to-end encryption.
Performance, and of course, literally the thousands of other changes that make the day-to-day use of Nextcloud better because of all the maintenance work that our engineers do. So, this is the end of our part about files. I would next like to welcome Kim and Simon on stage.
Last December, we launched Nextcloud Talk Paris with a ton of new features. Now with Hub 10, we are pushing integration to the next level.
Nextcloud Talk is not an isolated communication app. It's part of Nextcloud Hub, fully integrated or modular as you need, and designed to work seamlessly across all your apps. Many organizations rely on large, centralized platforms like Microsoft Teams, which lock your data in proprietary systems, making you dependent.
Right. And when Microsoft raises prices by 20% or even 40%, what are your options? Migration is hard and your data stays locked in.
What if you could have all the same features, but fully integrated, private, and in control of your own system? In contrast to Teams, Nextcloud Talk is entirely on-premise solution that keeps data in your own data center or that of your provider. Talk is fully GDPR and HIPAA compliant, ensuring your data stays secure and under your control. And with its modular setup, it's adaptable to any organization's needs.
Kim, let's talk about collaboration technologies. They fall into 4 main categories: chat, video, files, and Office.
The market has changed a lot over time.
Exactly. In the 2000s, WhatsApp, Slack, Zoom, and Dropbox replaced these old apps. Meanwhile, open source alternatives emerged. MetaMost and Matrix for chat, Jitsi and Big Blue Button for video, and so on.
And then the pandemic changed everything. These individual solutions were not giving a user experience suitable for full remote work.
Exactly. Microsoft Teams quickly combined chat, video, and document collaboration, dominating the market. As a result, Dropbox downsized, Slack is struggling, and Zoom is losing relevance.
So what's the open source response?
Nextcloud Talk, an integrated open source solution that brings these tools together in one place.
Nextcloud Hub 10 brings enhanced integration with Nextcloud Talk, featuring a streamlined interface, improved AI features, updates to the polls feature, and more to boost your productivity.
Sounds exciting, Kim. Let's dive into it.
First up, Nextcloud Talk now integrates directly with your calendar. It's now even easier to schedule meetings directly from Nextcloud Talk conversations. No need to switch tabs anymore. Just click the calendar icon in the top right. When the meeting is scheduled, it will also appear in the conversation.
It's a smooth experience. You can schedule meetings directly from your calendar too. Everything stays in sync. Now something really cool. If someone joins a video call using a voice over IP solution like, for example, Cisco, that supports video, Nextcloud Talk will also display this. But Nextcloud Talk isn't just for meetings, right?
Exactly. It's also great for webinars and training events. We've added a new feature to make life easier. You can now download participant lists as CSV files, making it much easier to assess event performance.
This is going to save a ton of time for our event teams. We hope you'll find it as useful. Another great improvement is the addition of more moderation features for online events. You can now set time limits on calls so your meetings stay on track. No more endless calls.
It's perfect for ensuring meetings don't drag on. You can now set a soft warning or a hard cutoff, keeping everything more efficient. Another feature I really love is starting calls with audio and video disabled by default. This is a lifesaver for reducing the distractions in large meetings.
Absolutely. No more accidental audio interruptions. You, as an admin or user, can control the setting as needed. We also improved the polls feature. Now you can prepare your polls ahead of time and use them during the call for better engagement.
You can now also export and import your polls. So if you've got a poll you want to use again or share with others, it's easy.
It's now easier than ever to invite guests with pre-configured rights. No more waiting for your speakers to get set up. Just send them a link and they are good to go.
And another feature I'm really excited about, zooming during screen sharing. Now you can make important details even clearer.
Let's explore more improvements in Nextcloud Talk. Kim, what is your biggest distraction?
Sometimes there are just too many work chats. Old projects, distracting off-topic groups, other Teams conversations that you just joined once to ask questions, but I don't want to leave some of those conversations. What if I need them later?
No need to delete the chats you've joined anymore. Just archive them for future reference.
Among some really nice features recently developed by our community is the message search. You can now search messages in your busy chats to find links your colleague shared last week or get back to meeting notes from yesterday, for example. And now let's talk about AI integration. We're continually improving AI features to automate tasks and save you time.
For example, sometimes there are way too many messages to read.
That's one of my biggest fears every time I'm back from vacation.
You have so much to catch up with, dozens of conversations, hundreds of new messages. But with the new AI summaries, you don't need to miss anything. If a chat has over 100 messages, you can get a quick summary and decide if you wish to dive deeper.
And it's not just chat. AI can also summarize call recordings for you. You will never miss a detail, even if you can't attend live. So you, Simon, will be able to catch up easily on your calls when you're back from vacation.
Nice. AI-generated summaries from call transcripts also mean you can easily search through the content of meetings without spending hours going through the recording.
And just to clarify, AI is optional and not enabled by default. You love it? Turn it on. You're not a fan? Simply don't install it. Speaking of improvements, we focused a lot on performance and stability. The whole system feels faster and more reliable, even during large calls.
One key upgrade is reducing server load during large calls, especially for mobile users. This keeps things running smoothly, even with a lot of participants.
And another feature I love is the new compact conversation list mode. It's simpler, with less clutter, and easier to navigate. Perfect for smaller screens if you prefer it.
And there are even more new features to explore. We've added plenty of useful updates to Nextcloud Talk.
One standout is end-to-end encryption for calls. If your organization handles sensitive information such as legal consultations, executive board meetings, financial negotiations, or government briefings, this is a key security feature. It ensures that no unauthorized party, including your infrastructure provider, can access your conversations.
Let's not forget the mobile improvements. You can now access chats offline on iOS and Android too. Plus, the improved mobile device management support allows you to enforce security features like, for example, Face ID, or disable specific app settings for users to ensure better control.
All in all, Nextcloud Talk is evolving fast. With these updates, we've made it the most integrated, flexible, and secure communication platform available.
To sum up, improved integrations, enhanced security, AI-driven efficiency, and a ton of new features designed to make your workflow simpler and faster. That said, welcome back Jos and Nina to the stage.
So, long time no see, here we are again. And we are here to present Nextcloud Groupware to you all.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we do a little intro? So Nextcloud Groupware is a family of apps that include calendar, contacts, mail, and others.
Yeah, so those apps are built to work together in an integrated way and help you be productive. So from the mail app, you can send a calendar invitation, you can add a talk room to that invitation, and you can attach documents from files.
Integration goes beyond the Nextcloud apps, of course. You can use Mailvelope to add PGP encryption to Nextcloud Mail. There are also Outlook integration options and a ton more. Now, let's first discuss Nextcloud Mail.
Yeah, so, we're all getting tons of emails. Studies say it's about 40, 50 on average a day. I think I get more, and I absolutely cannot imagine how support or salespeople deal with their inboxes.
Yeah, you have to be able to keep track of this, and this is why we need to make email more convenient and especially more efficient. One tool for that is AI. It can summarize emails and discussions. It can identify mails you should follow up on and show urgent mails in a priority inbox.
This is all done by the Nextcloud Assistant, which can run in the background and, create these summaries, etc. But we of course care deeply about privacy and security. And so this can run entirely on your own server and is optional.
If you are like me, receiving lots of mails in different languages, it is now very easy to access the translation without having to go to another app.
Yeah, and besides these nice AI-powered features, we are adding other abilities that help you communicate with a little bit less stress. And sometimes you need to hand over a bunch of tasks to people, so you put them in an email and then you can now mention people so that everybody knows exactly what their tasks is. You just type the symbol, then you pick the person, like you can just type part of the name and then pick the right person. And then they're also automatically added to the email recipient field so that you don't also need to, do that twice basically. So this is super convenient. And on the other side, if you receive such an email, you can now filter messages that mention you to make sure that you don't miss anything.
When you're writing to many people, sometimes you might confuse or mix up people with similar names. That could be very embarrassing, right? So we've added a really nice recipient info that displays the information about the others in a conversation or address book.
Yeah. Another thing that was worked on is Mailvelop integration. So we made encrypted emails readable directly in Nextcloud Mail, and this makes it a lot easier to use.
And now let's jump to Nextcloud Calendar. Nextcloud Calendar is really nicely integrated with Mail, Contacts, Talk, Tasks, Deck, and other components in Hub.
Yeah, so for this release, we focused on making it easier to plan your meetings.
So I have my colleagues grouped in the Contacts app, and now I can invite the whole group in the calendar without having to select each one individually, which saves a lot of time. Another nice integration is that you can now view availability of your colleagues from anywhere in Nextcloud. Here in Talk, click an avatar and check their availability, or from the Contacts menu or in Files, it's always just a click away.
Yeah, and I think these are really helpful. This personally, I'm sometimes thinking of the availability, like if someone is available or not, even when I just want to chat with them, and just being able to click the avatar and I see their availability already is nice. You don't have to move to the calendar for that. So another highly requested feature for the calendar app was the ability to configure calendars, whether they should show you as busy when people want to make an appointment. So basically what this is like if you have a bunch of calendars, maybe from different projects that you're involved in, and each of those has meetings, then when somebody wants to make an appointment with you, they will see like a free busy view that is full with all these meetings. But maybe some of these projects, you're not that deeply involved, you're just for your information. And then, well, these appointments, these meetings that these projects have should then not block other people from making an appointment with you. So you can then configure, as you can see here, that a certain calendar shouldn't show up in your free busy view as well, busy. I think that can be quite helpful if you have a ton of calendars that you're managing.
But with Hub 10, we improved the integration with Talk and Calendar even further, didn't we, Jos?
Yeah, exactly. So as Kim and Simon already showed, you can now schedule a meeting very quickly, just straight from a Talk conversation. So, you don't need to leave there. It will appear in your calendar. Everybody gets an email invite with a Talk, of course, to the room link. So I think this really saves a ton of time.
The team also worked on the integration from the other direction. You could already create a Talk conversation from the calendar, adding all participants and the description to it. Now you can pick an existing conversation. It's already there in the chat room that you want to use for the call. Of course, but you can still create a new one. Many other improvements come in Nextcloud Groupware and Nextcloud Calendar in particular. For instance, improvement in administration and a lot of UI polishing.
Yeah, I think this is really a great Groupware release. And my favorite feature is you can now book a meeting directly from Talk. This is something I'm going to use a lot. So what's your favorite feature?
I like the improvements in planning in the calendar app, and I really like seeing the availability of colleagues. This is so handy to have.
Yeah, but that's also 2 features, so you were cheating.
I know, I just couldn't decide. They're all too good.
Fair enough.
Now, let's welcome Simon and Kim back on stage.
We do have a lot more updates to share. Let's talk about Nextcloud Tables next. Nextcloud Tables lets you track all kinds of information, and what's really useful is that you can link this data directly to other Nextcloud resources like talk rooms or deck cards, keeping everything connected in one place. For example, you can create a database to manage your book reading list. You can simply create your own Nextcloud app to do that without needing to write code and by simply using Nextcloud Tables.
Nextcloud Tables is a no-code environment for creating your own formats of working with data. You can create business apps tailored to your tasks easily without any programming skills. By bundling your tables and views, configuring the app access and appearance, and making it available right from the menu bar in Nextcloud Hub to our users.
That makes it super easy to access and use the apps whenever you need. For example, I love how we automated vacation requests, making them so effortless to submit.
We are bringing Nextcloud Teams to Nextcloud Tables, opening more opportunities to manage human resources, tasks, and other assets in a more integrated way with your user system.
Previously, we've added a user group column type in Nextcloud Tables. Now this column also supports referencing teams from your Nextcloud.
And sharing of tables with groups of people is now easier too, as you can now share tables with selected teams easily.
Next up is Nextcloud Deck. Nextcloud Deck is a kanban tool that helps teams organize tasks using boards and cards. It seamlessly integrates with Nextcloud Hub, allowing easy collaboration, task management, linking, and labeling.
A lot of users have been looking for ways to handle more routine tasks and handle big projects in an easier way in Nextcloud Deck. So we introduced 2 new features that help with that.
You can now copy your cards. So if you have a task you have to repeat or just want to save time filling in similar details, simply copy over the card with all contents. No need to create a new one anymore.
Another new feature will be helpful if you run recurring projects regularly. For example, organizing events with similar project structure, release software updates, or run a project with a customer. Now you don't need to create a new board from scratch. You can just clone the entire project board.
And speaking of deck cards, you can now create a card by pasting a link as a name. This gives a nice link preview as well, helping you find the right card even faster. When working on the task itself, you can add notes and comments, which with Hub 10 now supports formatting. I've really been waiting for that. Sometimes I need to structure my detailed feedback, and adding headings and highlighting text really helps with that.
Let's move on to Nextcloud Whiteboard, a collaborative sketching app in Nextcloud Hub that we released recently.
It integrates seamlessly with Nextcloud Hub applications, offering visual collaboration in real time, for example, during meetings in Nextcloud Talk. Let's see it in action.
The Nextcloud Whiteboard is your collaborative, real-time sketching tool, allowing you to create beautiful hand-drawn stylistic diagrams, project plans, brainstorm notes, and more with your friends and colleagues. Your whiteboards are stored in an open format and no data leaks beyond your server, so your creations will always be yours. Complement your conversations and video calls in Talk by creating a new whiteboard from the plus icon. You can even design your drawings and diagrams immediately from within a call. Thanks to support for instant collaboration, your friends and colleagues can join you and create and brainstorm together. Nextcloud Whiteboard is super easy to use. It offers all needed tools to create and customize shapes, add text, highlight relationships with customizable arrows, and much more. Need to present your ideas? Nextcloud Whiteboard makes this easy too. Use the integrated laser pointer to guide others through your plans for world domination. Transition to a new whiteboard being screen shared from within a Talk conversation with several participants. Use the laser pointer function to make some highlights, circle elements, point to 2 related items, etc. Like you're giving a presentation and want to bring attention to a point or 2. Creating whiteboards in Nextcloud Files is just as easy as creating any new file or folder. The whiteboard's built-in templates give you a great starting point. From there, you can easily share your creation with a colleague or with an external party. Open the sidebar from the 3-dot menu and enter a name or email. You can also create a public link you can share with anyone, even if they don't have an account. Read only if you want, or you can invite them to share their ideas too. The Nextcloud Whiteboard's perfect balance of customization and templating is your new collaborative brainstorming super tool. Impress your colleagues with your creativity, share your ideas clearly, and take your collaboration to the next level with Nextcloud Whiteboard.
Kim, would you like to tell us what's new?
Yes. With Nextcloud Hub 10, Nextcloud Whiteboard allows to upload files other than images. making it easier to exchange assets and references. You can now also download a screenshot of any visible area of your whiteboard to share a separate sketch or element. Previously, the app only supported downloading or exporting the full whiteboard.
We have only recently added the Whiteboard app to our ecosystem and are working on it to add even more capabilities and improve collaboration. Let us know what new features you would like to see on your whiteboard. And let us also talk about our business automation engine called Nextcloud Flow. Kim, would you like to introduce the app with a few words?
Yes, with pleasure. With Nextcloud Flow, you can easily automate even complex processes by setting up automated action across your apps in Nextcloud Hub, as well as external apps. You can, for example, monitor for files or a form submission, and then send notifications, add rows in a table, or request approval from a defined person.
It integrates features within Nextcloud via OCS API, bringing data from all kinds of apps to trigger actions and streamline workflows. Let's look at the video to see Nextcloud Flow in action.
Life is busy, and you expect quick, easy, and seamless interactions when ordering services or products. Some companies make this supremely easy. Others still lag behind. Similarly, in some countries, public services are widely available online, even through mobile apps, while other countries still have serious work to do to lower the barrier for citizens to work with them. Nextcloud Flow is designed to help organizations improve their services, bringing processes online. Nextcloud Flow does this by automating a variety of interactions between your organization and external users, like mail communication, document generation, payment processing, managing approvals, and much more. Flow offers a graphical automation tool integrating various Nextcloud Hub components and data with external processing systems, able to input, process, and output data in a variety of ways. Data can come in through a mailbox, uploaded files, data in the Nextcloud Tables app, or other sources like the standardized Open Collaboration Services API. Flow then activates predefined flows to process the data. For instance, it can automate processes like vacation requests. Based on submitted forms, Nextcloud Flow can populate tables with data, track approvals, and then notify the employees about positive decisions. You can make everyday communications easier. For example, requesting and receiving management approvals for public file shares, and so much more. Flow will run multiple processes after each other on an incoming document, or execute actions in parallel. It can ask a human to proceed to a next step, or interact with an external system, providing a very flexible and powerful automation system. The various available flows are visible from the app's dashboard, where the admin can see which are activated and the state of each. Nextcloud Flow provides powerful custom automation tools while offering an intuitive experience, even for less technical users. It's not only key to digitalization efforts in the public sector, but also excels in automating business processes and enhancing customer interactions within enterprise environments. Naturally, it's integrated into Nextcloud Hub, the most secure self-hosted collaboration platform, making it easy for organizations to get started with.
So here you have it, a summary of what is coming with Whiteboard, Tables, Deck, and Flow in Hub 10. And my personal favorite is the option to finally cloning deck boards with cards. And with that, I would ask Marcel on stage.
Let's start with AI. And here, we not just have an update, we have a big announcement to make today. My colleagues were presenting previous updates together, but I have a companion on my own. Guess who this is? Nextcloud has invested in artificial intelligence over several years, making the most of this powerful technology in a collaborative environment while protecting your privacy and advocating strongly for AI ethics. 2 years ago, we introduced the Nextcloud Assistant. Nextcloud Assistant is the industry's first open source local assistant. It's based on a large language model, 100% open source, and fully self-hosted. With on-premise hosting, you don't need to worry about your data is used by third parties for training, and you're easily compliant with privacy regulations. Nextcloud Assistant features popular AI tools many of us already use it in our daily work, like text and image generation, dictation, transcripts, or summaries. But it's also deeply integrated in Nextcloud itself, offering summaries for mail and talk, proposing meeting agendas in the calendar. A year ago, we introduced Nextcloud Assistant 2.0 with a new chat interface. It also received a big interface overhaul and new context-aware features that let the assistant work with you on your own data and files from applications you use. Like Context Chat on the one hand, that lets you ask Assistant about your own data and files. And Context Write feature to rewrite something in custom context or style, or fill in a document with data you need. AI has great potential. We believe the next step for AI is to do more than generate text or images. It could actually help users perform tasks. Big Tech has been talking about this for years, and over the last month has started to introduce these features, often restricted to a selected few customers or at a very high price. At Nextcloud, we want to make a point. Open source software can compete. And we do an even better job at keeping your data safe while delivering results. So today, we announce the third major version of Nextcloud Assistant with agency features. These features allow the assistant to get information from internal and external sources and then perform actions for you. It can create calendar invites, send emails, messages, and more. Let's have a look at what the new assistant can do in this video.
The Nextcloud Assistant 3.0 is here. With this release, we are introducing the ability of the Nextcloud Assistant to do tasks for you. It should save you time and help you do more with a twist. Many AI services introduce data security and privacy risks. At Nextcloud, we put you in control, giving you responsible AI options that avoid these issues. Here's how the new Nextcloud Assistant 3.0 can help you. Search through and provide convenient answers to questions about your data. Execute everyday tasks such as writing emails, creating appointments, and sending messages. Work with data and take action within Nextcloud, but also with external applications and web services. Use a few simple words to describe what you're trying to achieve, and the assistant magically accomplishes all of these tasks on your behalf. Let's see what that looks like in action. Let's start by asking the assistant to send an email to a colleague. Explain what kind of email you would like to send, and the assistant will propose something. Double-check that everything looks as expected, and hit the green button. The assistant will let you know that the email has been sent. Additionally, you can also ask the assistant to send a message by chat, in case Amara does not see the email. Another way the assistant can help you is by finding specific information from across your Nextcloud. For example, you simply ask the assistant about business class travel rules, and it will provide the answer from the company documentation. The assistant can also book meetings for you. Tell it what, when, where, and with whom, and after asking if you're okay with the proposal, it takes care of it. You can also combine multiple functions together in one request. Ask it to summarize a PDF and share the summary through mail, and create a calendar appointment to talk about it. The assistant is not limited to Nextcloud apps. It can also talk to other services. For example, it could ask for the weather at a colleague's location. In the end, the assistant is designed to help you with day-to-day work. Let's say you are a product manager. You can work with the assistant to manage tickets. Ask it, for example, to find all feature requests in your email from the past week and create tasks in OpenProject for the team to create estimates. This new edition of AI agency allows the Nextcloud Assistant to have revolutionary access and capabilities throughout Nextcloud and beyond. You can accomplish tasks together with your team, within your organization, and across all your collaborations, saving you time and effort. Want to find out what else Nextcloud can do for you? Visit nextcloud.com/assistant.
Agency is not the only improvement that comes to the new assistant. There are 3 more improvements I'd like to show you. First is transparency. We now show the user in their personal settings what AI services are providing the assistant features in the backend. This way, users can see how the server handles their private data. Second, as mentioned, the assistant performs a number of functions in Nextcloud apps, like creating summaries of email discussions and chats. For meetings, you often would love a transcript after the call, and the assistant can do that. If you don't enjoy reading long transcript, I also have good news. The assistant can now summarize these meetings as well. Third, we brought the Nextcloud Assistant to the main toolbar of Nextcloud Office. Make it easier to get help with rewriting or improving text in documents. Besides features, we want to make it easier to use the assistant. Running your own AI models requires resources. Wouldn't it be nice if there's a middle ground between doing that and handing your data to big tech? This is where AI as a service comes in. We work with providers like OVH Cloud, Ionos, and Plus Server to offer AI models that run on their data centers, compliant with EU regulations, of course. We also integrated Mistral, the French AI service. There are other improvements in AI and Nextcloud Assistant, enabling better performance and quality of existing features and various AI providers. For example, optimized summarizations for on-premise LLMs and chunking mechanism for summaries. Now, on to other integrations. Other important improvements I'd like to talk about are the updates in the Nextcloud Platform. Let me begin with a little introduction to the Nextcloud Platform, to give you an understanding of how we made our ecosystem's growth possible. Nextcloud Hub offers a wide range of functionality, some of it provided by core applications like Nextcloud Files or Nextcloud Talk that are deeply integrated between each other, but still remain optional. We partner with other software vendors and independent developers, building an integrated system of applications and various external services. These include open source apps like Mattermost, Moodle, Big Blue Button, OpenProject, as well as web services like Collabora, WebEx, Notion, Miro, and many more. And we know the transition to open source and digital sovereign technology takes time and effort. That's why we are keeping Nextcloud compatible and ready to be deployed alongside popular Office and productivity applications. In a world dominated by monopolies like that of Microsoft, we feature a number of integrations with their closed ecosystem. The ecosystem built around Nextcloud over these many years is an extraordinary example of how far open standards, trusted alliance, and highly involved community can get. We do this by making it easy to develop native applications for Nextcloud and integrate other applications into our platform. The key to this is the Open Collaboration Services API. It's a powerful application programming interface which makes it possible for an external application to talk to the Nextcloud server. It is also used to power Nextcloud's web interface and mobile apps and enables many of our Nextcloud features. It is very easy to experiment with the OCS API with our OCS Viewer app. For instance, you can browse the API, try out a request with various parameters, and see the result, and then get the code in any language you want and reuse it in your application. Beyond building apps that interact with Nextcloud, you can, of course, build new native Nextcloud apps. These can be built in the core language of Nextcloud, which is mostly PHP, but 2 years ago, we also introduced support for writing apps in any language you want. Such apps are called XApp and run in a microservice architecture. We use a Docker-based deployment so that installing and running apps at any scale is easy and secure. We expanded the control administrators have over these apps, so you can configure an API app to use a specific GPU, or have access to a certain folder with data on the host server. This way, multiple AI apps could use the same data folder. You can also limit the size of a Docker container, helpfully, especially on UN-RAID systems, where this can be an issue. The XApp also gained improved SSL certificate handling, helpful in special, highly regulated industry like healthcare with special security setups. XApps now also joined the app directory in the App Store, along other Nextcloud apps, simplifying user navigation and improving the visibility of your own XApps. In our Developer Hub, you can already find a tutorial to develop your first XApp in App API, alongside dozens of other useful developer tutorials. If you are developing for Nextcloud and wish to try it yourself, just visit our growing library of useful resources. You can find these and many other tutorials if you go to nextcloud.com/developer, the best place to get started building apps for Nextcloud. And more great news for developers. We are starting a newsletter crafted especially for developers of Nextcloud applications. There, we will announce breaking changes and new developments and new improvements for developers. Sign up to the App Store. Last time I checked, there were over 400 applications already ready to be installed in your Nextcloud ecosystem. The number is growing at an impressive pace. Dozens of new apps joining the App Store every year. Today, I would also like to talk about new integrations coming to Hub 10, as well as updates to some of the existing popular integrations. One of such integrations is Documenzo. It's an open source document management and signing solution designed to help organizations securely and efficiently manage their digital documents. We improved the existing Zulip integration, integrating it with our unified search to help you easily find topics and chats within Zulip. Of course, there are many other improvements done in the integration area, but perhaps we should listen to people who work with us to integrate their technologies themselves. I want to hand over to the awesome Michael Meeks.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Wow. So many exciting things to see there. So one of the best things about Nextcloud, I think, is the way it integrates with partners to produce a better solution together. And so we're really pleased to have been working with Nextcloud together since 2016 and just working daily at a very close level to get the best experience for all Nextcloud users. So our teams meet together and they plan together and they design together from support, design, development, sales engineering, end to end. We work together, and that gives, I think, the best integration out there. So, extremely tightly coupled. And that drives our mission, obviously around digital sovereignty and delivering all of those good things with Nextcloud. And let me just show you a few of those integration pieces. So imagine you're working on a document and you've had a brainwave. It's so good. Put it in the comments. Tell someone about it. It's all just straight there in your activity. And now, of course, we need to share it with many more people. This started out as a prototype, but now we should tell all sorts of people and configure that very easily straight out of there. And then, of course, tag the version, a great feature there, so that it's clear where the innovation happened and whose name it was on it. And then you can, of course, even compare it in line to those inferior older versions and see where things came in. And of course, you can start adding comments and tagging users, a new feature in Hub 10 in the comments now. So you can tag people to notify about that. And actually, while we're on this document, I have another pet feature here, which is you can get the styling perfect. So the document looks it's not just got the best ideas, it looks as well as it can. So you can see here our new style support on the side. You can see all the stars there. And you can highlight where they're used in the document. So maybe you can see next to the paragraphs there, those colors and numbers, so you can get it all tied together and looking as beautiful as possible. Another great feature we have is, of course, Smart Picker integration. So the Smart Picker is everywhere in Nextcloud and really a great way of integrating those pieces and tying partner products together. So if you want to link to documents, one of the powerful features that Nextcloud has that you won't find elsewhere is that you not only can select a document, but you can then look inside that document, inside the Smart Picker there. You can see the headings and the sections, and you can select the exact thing you want to link to. Of course, that speeds up other people's ability to follow your thoughts, trace your ideas through and follow those links, which is really, really very, very powerful. Other things that might happen, you might just come up with some amazing idea while you're editing and just want to be able to create a new ticket for later, ideally for someone else to carry on your work and expand it. Just capturing that inspiration in the moment and being able to really fluidly collaborate around your documents, but also use the rest of the Nextcloud infrastructure to just make yourself more productive. One of the key features we've added in Hub 10 is this auto text functionality. So Nextcloud Office is a stateless container. It sits there, it can't store things. But what we really want to do is provide the ability to configure it and do all of the amazingly powerful things that it can do. So there's one really commonly used feature, which is auto text, which is a great example of this. Let me explain it. So often you have very common phrases and pieces of text that you want to reuse. So as an example, you go and see your doctor and you've got the flu and he can't do anything. You may want antibiotics, but it's not going to be good for you or for the society to give them to you. And the doctor knows that, and he wants to explain it in a sensitive way. But maybe she's busy, she can't be doing that quickly. So she types flu, presses F3, and the perfect document appears, complete with formatting and all those good things, stored and configured centrally then as part of your Nextcloud server. And there are many examples here. I mean, school reports, standard letters, hospital prescriptions, used in many, many places. There's an even nicer feature here, whereby we used to have user settings stored in the browser themselves. And now, of course, we can store those on the server side, which means that your client can be much more locked down, much more secure, and have much less. I mean, it's not much data, whether you like dark mode or not, but it would be good not to store it in the browser. So some great progress there. And that then extends to many other features, and we'll be adding many more of this. But don't tolerate the red squiggles. Extend your dictionaries, making it easy to deploy custom dictionaries that have those libraries of expert words and specific terms that are used in your business or your enterprise, your government, say. And making it easy to extend and manage those. So just with the right-click context menu, adding new words. So you get higher quality letters. You're not distracted by extraneous misspelled words. So another piece that we have is automatic documents, these new APIs that are there to extend Nextcloud's capability to allow you to pull in and out information out of documents. So we use that for templates. You can see the nice integration, so you can see thumbnails of your templates, select them. You can then interrogate the template and get all these fields out of it, and you can type those in, and just a very smooth integration there for building documents. Obviously, we follow open standards, but you can also work with your existing templates and Microsoft Office files. Just drop them in, and they'll be interrogated and then become that much more useful and powerful. And of course, this is integrated with Nextcloud Flow, so there's incredibly powerful combinations there for workflow creation and document generation as well. And of course, with editing and collaborative editing around what you've created to improve on it. So creating beautiful documents is, of course, critical, and many people do that. But then proving that they came from you is really important. If you ever found anyone that's paid their DocuSign bill, well, you'll know them. You can see on their face they've paid it. And so we can then provide a very nice way then to do built-in signing here. You can insert your signature widget. You can position the signature widget where you like it. And then we work with EID Easy to make it possible to do digital signing for many, many different countries and providers. And they provide a wonderful API that lets us do that. So you get then out of this a real signature verified in Acrobat that actually uses the correct thing for qualified European electronic signatures. So a great way to create beautiful documents and prove that it's you. So we're really ready for your documents, and it's fantastic to be a key part of Hub 10. I'm really excited now to hear what Berta's going to say as I invite her to the stage. So Berta, what's new in OpenProject?
So, looking for a seamless way to connect your Nextcloud Hub with sophisticated project management, the OpenProject and Nextcloud integration brings it together in one streamlined workflow. Let me briefly show you the highlights and updates of this integration. OpenProject is a collaborative project management software supporting your teams to collaborate efficiently in a web-based solution. Just like Nextcloud, it's open source and can be run on premises. Have all your project information securely at one central place, seamlessly connected with your Nextcloud Hub. Keep your project tasks and documents in sync and streamline your workflows. Manage files and folders in Nextcloud and connect them directly to your project tasks in OpenProject. No more searching for corresponding documents and versions, just easy collaboration. So how does it work? Upload and manage files directly in OpenProject without switching platforms. Link Nextcloud files and folders to your project's work packages, ensuring your documents are easily accessible, up-to-date, and available where they are needed. Easily manage file access based on project roles, granting or restricting permissions in Nextcloud according to each team member's role in OpenProject. This ensures that sensitive files are only accessible to authorized users. One of the recent updates of this integration is the possibility to directly create new folders in Nextcloud when uploading a new document from OpenProject. This way, you will keep your documents streamlined and well organized. Simplify recurring projects with project folders that allow automatically managed permissions. New projects are set up with necessary permissions for each team member. This way, you can set up project templates with predefined folders and files, making it easy to manage essential documents in Nextcloud from the start. Additionally, we have introduced a health check of the integration for administrators, showing you if your integration is up and running smoothly. As an administrator, you may receive email notifications if the Nextcloud storage integration requires your attention. Another great benefit of this integration is the possibility to directly create new project tasks from your Nextcloud files. This way, you will keep together what belongs together. Many of our mutual customers already benefit from this close integration, such as City of Cologne, Brandenburg State Parliament, or University Duisburg-Essen, and are actively using and supporting it. Nextcloud and OpenProject established a close sales partnership to foster these developments on collaboration in the open source ecosystem and building strong alternatives to proprietary solutions. Contact Nextcloud or OpenProject Sales for further information. And next up is Ludovic from XWiki.
Thank you, Bertha. It's really great to see all these improvements in open projects. We're looking forward to use them ourselves. Before we move forward to our integration within Nextcloud Hub, let me present first who we are. XWiki is a French and independent company created in 2004 with 70 employees across all Europe, growing 50% multiple years in a row. At our core, we are a software editor building two open source solutions, XWiki and Encrypted. Over the past few years, we have been getting closer with Nextcloud, in particular by working in joint projects. For example, Nextcloud, XWiki, OpenProject, and Collabora are among the organizations that collaborate in OpenDesk. There are already many companies using Nextcloud and XWiki, like the German state of Schleswig-Holstein. We both believe in open source and collaboration, and integrating our application brings great benefits to users and customers. You can always use software solutions side by side, but user experience is improved enormously when the two technologies are integrated. The improvements announced today will help users be more productive. By essence, Nextcloud and XWiki have been built to be extensible solutions, which makes it fairly easy to integrate. And today, we bring you XWiki and Encrypted as great additions to the Nextcloud Hub 10. First, let's talk about XWiki. As its name says, it's similar to Wikipedia, but for companies, helping you greatly enhance knowledge management in your organization. XWiki is a prime alternative to Atlassian Confluence, especially as we have great migration tools that we have improved this year, as many more users are interested to get back control on their data. As for new developments, in 2024, in XWiki, we've added real-time editing by default, we've improved accessibility a lot, and we added an LLM extension bringing AI features to XWiki. Our XWiki app brings powerful knowledge management to Nextcloud. The app makes it easy to access all XWiki content directly from Nextcloud, and even features like integrated search and notifications are available. Now, let's talk about our second product, Encrypted. Encrypted puts privacy in business class. It's a zero-knowledge collaborative document editor. Encrypted provides highly secure encrypted document collaboration sessions. Multiple users can work in real time on documents without having to worry that the server can see what is happening. This is groundbreaking for security and a great addition for Nextcloud users handling sensitive data. In 2024, we have added single sign-on capacity to Encrypted, as well as new APIs, and we also worked on accessibility. And what's even better is that we have a Nextcloud app. This Encrypted app enables users to securely edit Nextcloud documents through Encrypted. We are extending our support for other kinds of documents in Encrypted, like diagrams, as you can see. And in the future, we plan to integrate with Nextcloud end-to-end encryption, which has been brought to the web interface in Nextcloud Hub 10. We have built this extension as part of OpenDesk project led by Zendis. Interested in using XWiki or CryptPad on Nextcloud, you can experiment with these apps in the App Store, available today. And if you're looking for a mission-critical deployment, you can reach out to either Nextcloud or us for an integrated secure knowledge management and document collaboration solution, thanks to our sales partnership. And now I'm very happy to invite Frank to the stage.
Thanks a lot, Ludovic. I really think that this is our best release we had so far. I'm really impressed by all the improvements. Of course, this is also something you expect from the big number 10. So I really think this is an awesome release. So give you a bit of the summary. At the beginning of the presentation, we told you that we focus on 5 big areas. The first is deeper integration. So integration between the different components is really in the core of Nextcloud. So examples are that you can have a schedule a calendar invite directly from Nextcloud Talk, or that you can see your contact data directly next to the mail composer, and many other things. For example, also the integration with our open source friends from XWiki and OpenProject. Another area is the security improvements. This is very important because people use Nextcloud for sensitive information, sensitive communication. So I'm really happy that we expanded our end-to-end encryption to many more places to make it really good and better. The next area is, of course, the stability and performance improvements. So this is a request from our users who really care about Nextcloud, who run it in a mission-critical ways. And with this release, we really focused on that. Actually, 95% of all the work went in this area specifically. Then the next area is the improvements of the functionality overall. This is very important. For example, the new whiteboard is very cool, or that you can directly do file conversations directly inside Nextcloud Files, which makes just your workflow very smooth and very easy. And the last area is, of course, the AI enhancements. So an AI has the opportunity to make you more productive. But of course, if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. It's actually off by default. But if you want to use it, you can do many cool things. So in this release, for example, there is the Nextcloud Assistant 3.0. We have this agent support. So you can ask the assistant, hey, can you please schedule a meeting for me? Can you please send an email or a chat message for me? So it can really automate your workflows, which makes you super productive. So I think this is a really nice release. But of course, what I think is not really important. Most important, what our customers and users think. And I want to show you some testimonials about their opinions.
Wir sind das Amt für Digitalisierung, Organisation und IT der Landeshauptstadt Stuttgart, damit als zentraler Dienstleister und Querschnittsbereich für die gesamte digitale Transformation und Digitalisierung der Landeshauptstadt zuständig.
I'm Samuel Chaboisseau. I'm working for the Directorate of Quality of Medicaments. It's a directorate part of the Council of Europe. We're based in Strasbourg, and it's about 500 members for 28 different countries.
Hi, my name is Holger Angenent and I work for the CIT of the University of Münster.
Mein Name ist Steven Handgredinger und ich bin Bereichsvorstand Public Sector bei der Bechtle, Deutschlands größtem IT-Systemhaus.
Nextcloud ist Teil unserer digitalen Transformation, ein wertvolles Werkzeug, mit dem wir für interne und externe Zusammenarbeit und verschiedene Möglichkeiten haben, Geschäftsabläufe und Prozesse deutlich zu optimieren oder Effizienzsteigerung und Produktivität in unsere Abläufe reinzubringen. Schnelle und einfache Verfügbarkeit und Bekanntheit am Markt, eine wirklich leicht zu nutzende und bedienende Oberfläche und die Möglichkeit, auch zukünftig weitere oder andere Leistungen in Bezug nehmen zu können.
I joined the EDQM since 4 years, and to be honest, Nextcloud was already there. But I'm using Nextcloud since many years, and we are very open source oriented. So for me, that was quite natural to use and to keep using in Nextcloud to control the data, because we know exactly where our data are.
Nextcloud is a rather good choice here, I think, because it's possible to directly migrate from own cloud to Nextcloud so that your users don't need to migrate their data to the new platform on their own, but we will just change the platform so that it becomes the Nextcloud. And regarding the feature sets, Nextcloud is, from our point of view at least, more evolved than OwnCloud was. So there is a more feature-rich ecosystem that our users are now able to use. And therefore, the migration should turn out to be very smooth. We already started, and it worked out as we thought. And on the long run, we hope that we can provide to our users a robust, stable, and more feature-rich platform. I think the single most important reason for us is digital sovereignty. It means that we are able to store the data on-premise, that we are the only ones to have control over the data. And this comes also with the fact that Nextcloud is open source, so that we are able to have a look in the source code and we see the source code and can be modified if we want. And in this combination, it's pretty important to us. So we don't want to store our users' data on some public clouds where American companies have access to it.
Gemeinsam verfolgen wir das Ziel, Verwaltungen in Deutschland die Möglichkeit zu geben, unabhängig, sicher und effizient zu arbeiten. Nextcloud ist eine Open-Source-Lösung, die höchste Standards in Bezug auf Datenschutz, Sicherheit und Flexibilität erfüllt. Die Bechtle Worksuite Nextcloud bringt das Beste aus zwei Welten zusammen. Die bewährte Technologie und Sicherheit von Nextcloud und die umfassenden Erfahrungen von Bechtle in den Betriebsthemen. Das Ergebnis ist eine Plattform, die nicht nur modern und einfach zu bedienen ist, sondern auch höchste Anforderungen an Datenschutz und Sicherheit erfüllt und dabei 100% DSGVO-konform ist. Verwaltungen können ihre Daten sicher speichern, gemeinsam an Dokumenten arbeiten und behalten gleichzeitig volle Kontrolle und Transparenz darüber, wo diese Daten liegen.
So as you know, at Nextcloud, we don't do any pre-announcements, so everything we do is immediately available. So I'm really happy that you can directly go today to the website. You can download everything we showed you today. And the recommended way of running Nextcloud nowadays is the Nextcloud all-in-one Docker container, which comes pre-configured and pre-installed with all the different components. And just go there and see how it works, and it's available today. And of course, everything is not only developed by us as a Nextcloud company, it's actually developed by the Nextcloud community. And I'm really happy that at Nextcloud, we have one of the biggest open source communities in the world with thousands and thousands of contributors really contributing to lots of different places at Nextcloud. And if you want to get involved, of course, there are lots of different ways. You can go to this website, nextcloud.com/contribute. You can see really how we can shape the future of Nextcloud and make it like better for everybody. And I'm really happy about what the team here did. And I want to thank everybody who contributed to that, especially the speakers to come to the stage for a second. And I really think it's a great release. Thank you. Thanks a lot and have a great day.